Battlefield 5 has a new update. It's a tentative attempt at something I've been asking for a long time. This is a test for it. It's a team balancer. It's in breakthrough only right now, with the plan no doubt being to open it up to other modes after testing and community feedback. Let me stress, this is a test, okay? Why don't I sound excited after campaigning for a team balancer for so long? Well, I'm worried. This video isn't designed to tell you it's awful or it's definitely going to be awful, but it's cautionary. It's to bring to light my severe concerns, to encourage you to try it and provide your feedback to DICE, and to hopefully see us get a great result out of it for BF5 and then likely for Battlefield 6 or whatever it's going to be called next year. Because a bad matchmaking system in the next Battlefield is not the sort of thing we want for Battlefield to make a comeback. This video is brought to you by the Board of Awesome from the epic people who support the channel on Patreon, and many of you watch my videos regularly without subscribing, probably without even realizing. So it might be time to do that if you don't want to miss out. The current goal for the channel is to hit 60k subscribers, currently at 57k, so if you're new here or want to see more, hitting that subscribe button would be fantastic. Thank you so much. The official notes for this change are linked in the description if you want to take a look for yourself, but the basic premise of this team balancing change is that the game will analyze the health of the server and decide if it should continue. It will also look at the performance of those within the server, and if it deems it necessary, will remove players and place them in at least what it deems to be a more balanced server. Essentially what that reads to me as is it will be fairly commonplace for good squads to be yeeted out of a lobby and placed into a new one. And on paper this sounds okay, and I'm sure some of you have heard me talk about before how really able squads just stomping lobbies right now without a team balancer is an issue. But what I really called for was a random reassigner, rather than anything based upon measuring skill. I always had essentially skill-based reassigning as my less desired choice, because I don't like skill-based matchmaking in purely public lobbies. I think it causes way too many problems that aren't actually apparent to some players, but that would still be better than nothing anyway. But what I never asked for was for squads to be totally removed from a server and taken elsewhere. I don't like that idea overall, at least not if the matchmaking is very strict. If it's somewhat lenient, then it might be okay, and I'll hope for that, but if it's strict, it could be super painful for some players. And I say that as someone who doesn't play with a stacked team. I'm very often playing solo, or with one friend, or with my girlfriend. So I won't personally be affected by this anywhere near as much as some people. Just so that you know this isn't like a super biased take, I always try to look at all sides of the situation. Then also throw in my prior experience, which a lot of people won't have. Destiny 2 had skill-based matchmaking in public modes and would move players/squads to different lobbies when they've stomped a team. In theory, that's okay, but it was skill-based, so good teams or players would suffer extremely sweaty games or games where they had to carry a team extremely frequently. No relaxing, no using anything but the meta unless they were open to getting completely destroyed by top-tier players, no variance in play, no randomness, nothing. And you can add in loads of lobby hopping. Overall, a terrible situation for squads of mixed abilities as well, and worst of all, just the most terrible lag. There are only so many lobbies of players of that caliber, or lobbies that team can balance out. So playing against people around the world was a frequent occurrence. To qualify my statement here, I have around a top 1% KD in Destiny 2, so yeah, I suffered big time on that game. And then consider that BF5 has a much lower player base, so a lot of these issues could actually be intensified. Bungie actually got rid of this because it caused so many problems in Destiny 2. So I'm not saying that what DICE are implementing is exactly the same, and I'm not saying it'll be potentially as bad in some ways, because Destiny lobbies are small and Battlefield lobbies are big, so all these factors need to be taken into account, but it sure does sound similar in principle in a lot of ways. Moving squads to other lobbies after assessing their performance, skill-based lobby balancing. This has many pitfalls, and I really hope DICE can avoid them. Let me add in here that I have seen early reports that this does work well sometimes, but other times good squads are getting pushed into half-full lobbies, and on occasion into pretty much an empty lobby. This was something I was scared of, and it seems to be happening at times, so please, if you find that does happen for you, provide your feedback. This is all about how strict it is, and for me this overall isn't really the solution I'd be implementing, but I don't want to hate. I'll try it and I'll provide my own feedback, and as I said, I urge you to do the same. Hopefully this is going to be great, at least in the long term, but it needs to be bang on to not cause big problems, and with DICE's recent track record, that worries me, I think reasonably. If this is wrong now or turns out wrong in the long term, which is the main concern, there's a serious risk of fatigue from constantly tough games, or lack of variance in play, force balancing with no organic flow. Randomness is fun. Somewhat lenient balancing can work too, but please no super strict balancing, no strict skill-based matchmaking, and no strict moving from server to server, especially when you consider how badly connection can be affected by moving to a server in a different region? Will we control that? Will this negate the server browser? Please don't let this be a plan to remove the server browser in Battlefield 6. I'm really scared about that. I think everyone should actually use the server browser. I literally never quick search, and I can't think of a single reason to recommend it to any of you over the server browser. Everyone should be using it to find a good ping lobby, or a map they want to play, or a lobby that's got people actually in it. The quick search function is highly flawed, and I'll come round to that again in a little while as to what one of the main problems with it is. So yeah, don't assume this is bad. Even if I'm concerned, or maybe you're concerned, give it a go. I mean, it may actually be terrible, but mass feedback can help it to be improved. DICE can tweak this, so help them out if they're willing to listen. So moving on, look at all the issues in Call of Duty Cold War right now, or even some people saying Warzone, with SBMM or skill-based matchmaking. Now I know this doesn't affect all players, or even the average player or whatever, but that's a very close-minded viewpoint if you're just like, well, that doesn't matter to me then, if that happens to be you. And think back to the Black Ops 2 days if you can, of a great player having to carry 5 bad players against a team of average to good players. It's balanced as such, but it's highly flawed. I can't stress enough that random organic matches are what we should aim for. Variety of play and results. I've played games with strict skill-based matchmaking. I've played games with lenient skill-based matchmaking. I've played games with connection-based matchmaking. I've done everything in between. I've got friends of all ability levels. And the result I have hardcore landed on is that strict skill-based matchmaking in all modes is a bad idea. It's not just about wanting to stomp noobs or anything like that, so please don't just bring that up as always. It's about connection. It's about variety of gameplay. It's about all kinds of things. Now, I will say that Freeman, the global community manager, I believe, for Battlefield, or whatever his title is now, has said that this system has historically been applied to a small degree in Quick Match, when placing players using the Quick Match feature. This is actually part of why the Quick Match has been a problem sometimes in previous games, such as in BF1, and again, I can't recommend the server browser enough. But yeah, it was obvious this has been in some prior games, such as in BF1, especially in something like Team Deathmatch, where a good squad regularly had to carry due to the lobby balancing, something that was genuinely an issue for my squad back then. We could feel it happening. I promise you it was a thing. And so now it's being used between rounds regardless. So if someone comes to you and says, well, this has always been in the games prior. No, this is not the same thing. This is it being ramped up. And so some of the problems it has caused may also be ramped up. I'm hoping for the best, but if another creator or another person comes out and says this is going to be fine, they have no more idea this is going to be fine than I have any idea it's going to be bad. So please don't just take it as read that it's actually going to be all great. You need to try it, you need to give your feedback, and as stated, I've seen this go badly before, hence why I'm making this video. Please keep that in mind, and don't just take the assurances of someone that just loves Battlefield and loves DICE and loves EA and all that kind of stuff, okay? Now, some will say, well then how do you fix this if you aren't going to move squads out, or break up the squads, which you can't do, because then you're breaking up friends playing together and that kills the social aspect. My answer is there's nothing to fix in that regard. Players being good isn't something to fix. Now, lobby balancing itself does need fixing, but they're not the same thing. So my idea again is to randomly move that squad and others, everyone if you want, within the lobby. Keep variation within that lobby. Switch which team the good squad, quote unquote good squad, is on. Keep friends playing together, but then move everyone around. Much like we saw in some older FPS games where it seemed to just shuffle everyone between rounds. Or maybe sometimes randomly move that squad to another lobby eventually. But ascertaining skill level creates so many issues which I've covered. I just wanted a team balancer within the lobby. Random at best, skill-based at worst, but not really what they have planned here at all. That said, I'll keep my fingers crossed, and I hope you do the same. And so now, let me know what you think. How does it sound to you and why? Have you tried it? All that stuff, let me know. And I hope you enjoyed the video or found it informative. If you did, leaving a like and hitting subscribe would be awesome. Thank you very much. All the links to my social media and other platforms, including Discord, Twitter, Patreon, all of that can be found in the description and my pinned comment. And with all of that said, I am GetGoodGuy, and I will see you next time. Laters. I don't expect anyone to start playing this and be utterly mind blown, but it's a good game if you don't expect too much, let go of all the hate it tends to get, and happen to enjoy the way the game plays. It's a fairly arcadey take on Battlefield in quite a lot of ways, and it can be quite punishing at times as well, but if you dive in just wanting to kill some time, shoot some people and have a laugh,